He is the chosen one. You must see it.
I gave Qui-Gon my word.
Is he the chosen one?
He is.
And it is the Jedi who will stand in the way of peace.
It's not whether or not we fight.
It's how we choose to fight that matters.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
The Force will be with you. Always.
I will not be the last Jedi.
You're listening to The World Between Worlds, a Star Wars podcast where we have been marathoning all of Star Wars in chronological order. Prequels are in the rearview mirror, just like the past that Han Solo is trying to escape. That's right, we're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story.
Woo! Yeah! I've been waiting so many days to talk about Solo since the Revenge of the Sith episode. I am so excited.
It's been a hell of a journey, and I thank you.
My name's Yates.
My name is Jordan, and I am going to be the moderator.
Whatever.
My name is Jessica, and I will be the moderator for this episode.
My name is Keats, and I am just going to stay out of this.
This is Solo, a Star Wars story.
Han Solo.
Han Solo!
Han Solo.
Han Solo!
Solo. This movie just came out, but seeing it in this way is truly very exciting. I was always really excited to get to this point in the podcast because there's a lot of real serious jumping. We have Clone Wars wrapping up with that trippy Yoda stuff, then Revenge of the Sith, then Solo, and then after this, Rebels, the start of a whole new show with a whole different feel. So definitely a lot to look forward to at this point in time. I am psyched. I got an alert on my phone. Huge news alert. Apparently no one asked for this movie and we didn't need it.
Ooh, I want Rogue 2!
That is a very common complaint. What did you guys think about when they announced this movie? What would a movie about Han Solo be? And an origin story, no less.
Right, origin.
Well, at
Good
first,
choice.
back in the day when I was a normie, I was just like, all right, another money-making scheme. I'll bite. But now I'm like, fuck yes. Like, I want to see more. Give me more content. I want more world building.
I was super enthused about this because I thought, wow, like finally, like a movie about a character who isn't like a hero role. Like, I mean, we kind of had that with Rogue. I mean, he is. He's like has the heart of gold, but he has like the capacity to be somebody different. And because this is an origin story, it could have gone many different ways, I think.
Well, I think he's just. I think a lot of people felt like they were just excited that he wasn't a Jedi.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
especially
And
that especially.
For me,
Yes,
and
that's
this
how
is
I
also
feel.
pretty vital, just coming off the prequels, right? That's Jedi central. The most Jedi stories are told there.
Oh, yeah.
We've been living in a world where Jedi are walking around everywhere. No
Yes.
Jedi to be found here.
Very refreshing.
Jordan, you were
an advocate, right? You didn't want this, if I remember correctly.
You didn't want.
I wanted it.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong.
I want it all. No, I wanted Solo. I mean, why not, dude? I'm
Yeah, why
happy.
not?
Just give me anything Star Wars except for shitty stories, and this was not one.
Well, I was just
I
like,
had faith.
I was like, why Han Solo of all people? He's like an action guy.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, hell yeah. And I liked it okay the first time, but now in context, I really like it.
Cool.
I remember what you were thinking. I was very against Alden Ehrenreich
Oh, that
playing Solo.
Yeah,
That's
think,
what it was.
Yeah.
I think
So was I.
I was all for Alden Ehrenreich as Solo. I was like, I saw him in
Why?
because I saw him in Hail Caesar, and I was like, this guy has potential. And then I heard he was on like the short list of like
Potential. He was the best part of the movie.
The only good part
Really?
about that movie is
Of Hail-
fucking shite,
No,
mate.
I'm saying he had potential as an actor to inhabit this role.
Well, I just felt like he was kind of like, just like so happy to be here, and he just seemed so like fresh-faced and excited, and like he just didn't look like weathered and wrinkled. I mean, I know it's him when he's young, but still, like there's like badass looking young people who are all like have like lived way past their years. I don't know. I liked it, but I still have my original criticisms and misgivings.
I loved it a lot just because to see like a talent try and replicate while at the same time trying to add on to a performance is like a significant feat. And I thought that when it came to like his quote unquote impressions of Harrison Ford, they weren't like mediocre. They were like pretty damn good.
So this is a really good point because this is what a lot of fans felt this way. And really, I think it's sort of like a central question. How much of Han Solo is just Harrison Ford?
Because it's just Harrison Ford.
99%, I would say.
Yeah, so it is, and that's not only the role that made Harrison Ford's career. I mean, I think Han Solo's presence in the original movie was really integral to the success of the movie. He needs to be in that movie, and he's a really great force in that movie. To go in and recast the role, very intense. Now, we start this movie off, and from our perspective, this is our first time meeting Han Solo.
The movie works way better when you're seeing him as a new character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because a fresh-faced, doe-eyed Han Solo like makes sense, and I feel like is really refreshing after the prequels.
Let's pretend that everything did come out in chronological order. If everything did come out in chronological order and we just got through with Revenge of the Sith and now we're getting this movie about like Han Solo, I'd be like, hell the fuck yes.
New character, this is awesome.
Like new character, like cool, normal person, like who we can relate to.
Isn't part of some creepy religion.
Isn't like a part of
something
like,
new,
he's just like trying to like survive. He's not trying to be like good, evil. He's just trying to like live his own little like good, evil life in like the fucked up universe.
When I was watching it last night at like 2 a.m, there was like the
like
scene.
A little violent.
What time?
Like 2 a.m.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was 3.
Just like in the beginning of the movie when he's like approaching Lady Proxima. In my head, I guess I'm just stupid, but I was just like, who's Han Solo? Like, we've never met this character.
No, I totally relate to that.
I was like kind of in the mindset of just like, wait, what'd you just say?
Nothing.
No, I completely understand the vibe you have because it's just like, if this was the first entry that we ever saw Han Solo in chronologically, these are all new characters 100%.
I definitely think you're right, Keats, and for that reason, and for many other reasons, I know a lot of people, I remember reading a lot like from like reviews and stuff when the movie came out, that like a lot of people just like weren't into like the beginning, like they couldn't like understand what was going on, or I don't know, just thought the beginning was boring.
Are they dumb?
The prologue, I think, is
I loved
good.
it. I loved it. It was perfect.
Love the prologue to this movie. It starts off, Han's just boosting a car. He's stealing right away. something about it, the fact that like the streets of Corellia like look like, you know, like super Blade Runner Detroit, like there's a lot of the design stuff is really cool, but I just really like the idea of it's like a pauper's tale. It's like a Charles Dickens beginning to Han Solo's story. He's working for this weird worm crime boss lady, and he's with all these orphan kids.
This is worth
600 credits. That's more than you said we'd need.
To buy our way out of the control zone and off Corellia. Han, this could work.
This is gonna work. Kira, you always said one day we're gonna get out of here. This is it.
What are we waiting for?
It's great to see a main character, like a central story about like an average person in this universe. Like his story just felt super like real and relatable, and like his life is probably like the majority of people's lives. I loved when he like threw that rock.
Everybody stand back!
What's that supposed to be?
This is a thermal detonator that I just armed.
That's a rock.
No, it's not.
So like some of the heroes in Star Wars, it's like they like do some crazy shit with their lightsaber, and like that's how they save the day, or like they have some like genius plan. Like Han Solo, just like the way he gets himself out of situations is just like making shit up on the fly, improvising through like his wits alone, and then through like a rock. And that's how he gets him, and through stealing things. And okay, we were talking about like who would we be in the Star Wars universe?
Right.
Like I feel like this is like
This is the closest we've been. But I do also want to say, like you said before, it's like Han Solo like comes from an upbringing that feels different. I do feel that way, and I definitely feel that Han Solo is supposed to be a character we can sympathize with more easily and feel like, we might have more in common with Han Solo than we do with other characters. Mm-hmm. But I do also think, like, the whole Popper story angle, like, rags to riches, like, Han Solo comes from, like, a really sketchy background, and specifically, while he is not technically a slave, he is,
He is a slave.
He's basically a slave. He's been in forced
He's like,
servitude.
like those kids.
Forced to steal for this lady.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally like Oliver Twist.
Well, yeah, but it is very much like Oliver Twist. But specifically, what comes to mind is Anakin and Rey. Those two characters, I thought about both of them too. So in a way, he is cut from the same cloth, but at the same time, there are things that differentiate him.
I was thinking that myself, but then I thought Anakin and Rey live on these like desolate desert planets, but he lives on this like city, like urban planet.
Yeah,
and I do
like
think there's a difference there because
I agree.
I think that like Anakin and Rey are trying, and it just goes to show like how what people want the most. People don't necessarily know what they want. What they really want is to escape their situation.
There's so many. Do they all have a system of planets?
Most of them.
Has anyone been to them all?
Not likely.
I want to be the first one to see them all.
I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
You're saying like Rey and Anakin want to get away, but they kind of want to go to a place maybe like Corellia,
And
like
I
they
think
want to go
that,
to
like,
the city.
I feel like they would want like what they're really longing for is like explore the universe.
Yeah.
And like get out of like this like dust bowl like
Where Han
nothing,
Solo's like grow up in the
outer
city,
rim.
he's like, yeah, I'll go to Tatooine. Like I
Yeah,
don't
he'd
care,
be
I'll
like-
set up shop here.
He'd be like,
why
wow,
not?
that's like a peaceful place.
Yeah, it's
you
a good
know?
place to make a living. Like
Right. And I think that's what we were talking about earlier too, of like what they really want is just like the freedom to explore places. And
One thing that's important here, and it's a recurring theme throughout the movie, is, Han starts off the movie like running away from something. He's already in trouble. He starts off the movie in trouble. But beyond that, he's also...
What's more in character to Han Solo than that?
yeah, for sure.
But he's also like basically an indentured servant as well. So this is like a thing that comes up throughout the movie is like, clear your debts. Like when you owe someone, you owe them for life. Like you don't want to be trapped here. Like right now you're trapped and you need to be free. And that's how Han starts off that way. And then that theme keeps coming up. And that's
But he really does never escape because he never stops running from things.
Even in The Force Awakens when he runs away from his family.
I think the best description I heard of this movie was just, it's the same Han Solo we know, he's just not good at being it yet.
That's pretty
I
accurate.
don't know if he was ever that good at, like, is he ever better than he is now? I think that he has a lot of success.
I think he's just wiser when we get to know him in the original trilogy, whereas now it's like he's the newbie. He's like...
Right. He's harder.
Yeah, definitely.
And, like, more tired, maybe. Here
Mhm.
he's more, like, excited to be.
Yeah, like Dryden Voss says, like, he's hungry.
You're after something. I know the look. What is it? Revenge?
No, it's not revenge. Look at him. If it's anything, it's a girl.
Oh, a girl. Tell us about the girl, Han. Is she nice? Does she have sharp teeth?
There was a girl, but I got out, she didn't. I swore to myself I'd become a pilot, get a ship, go back and find her. That's what I'm gonna do right after this job.
How do you know she'll still be there?
I just know.
You would think that it would be weird seeing like Han Solo with like another like love interest besides like Leia, but you honestly believe it immediately. Like I love them so much. Like
he's
together.
way more into Kira than he is to Leia.
Yeah, but he's like, this is when he's younger and new to it, and then
they've known each other for a long time.
That's
like
true.
they start and like they've grown up together.
And he's not hard-hearted yet. Like I feel eventually.
And I feel like she isn't either. I mean, I feel like you get the impression. I mean, his level of commitment, I think, just shows how much they.
I mean,
really,
3 years and he still wants to go back to Corellia to find her.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like the whole like the shadow they both cast on each other's lives is like just shows how important and like legit their love for each other is at the beginning.
Yeah.
The Empire is very scarcely in this movie, but whenever they do show up, it's really cool, and I just love like I always loved the like there's like the Imperial propaganda up on the wall and like. And,
I love that, and I love how they incorporated the theme.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people hated that.
Modulated into a major key.
I was like, what's the big deal?
It's like when do you remember Han Solo's like in there and there's like Imperial, like before he makes the decision, he sees like Imperial propaganda.
I love the Imperial propaganda.
Yeah, and they're playing the Imperial March like Darth Vader's theme song, but it's modulated. They changed it from a minor key into a major key.
I didn't even notice that at all, but I thought that the propaganda was such a cool touch and also so realistic
it was like
immersive.
Join your empire.
Yeah, that's something that's in Rebels all the time, which is really cool.
I'm so excited.
I love propaganda in Star Wars. It's like one of my favorite details.
I love propaganda.
It's so immersive.
Yeah,
it is.
And I also just had that feeling, like especially in that little like airport. And it felt so realistic, like their depiction of it. And I kept thinking like, wow, this is really, I felt in that moment. And I think that was something that I loved about this movie was like, oh yes, I'm like feeling what it would be like after the Clone Wars is over and like the Empire reigns supreme.
You're really immersed in that world.
Yeah, and how like people get split up from their families, just like part of daily life. And
like that one woman who's like, they separate her from like her child.
Yeah, it's just it's like a 2-second thing, but it's like
and it's just like
that shit would actually happen.
Yeah, and there's just like it's just like daily mundane life, but like shit like that could happen at any time. Like cops and police at any time have like total control over your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the one guy
that's fucked up.
Kind of has like the same hairdo as like Han Solo, and he's
he's
like standing in line like, "Excuse me, sir, we need to talk to you." He's like, "What, me?"
And I also can see how like in that world, someone like Han Solo would become hardened. He's like a normal person and he's witnessing that shit. Whereas as a Jedi, even though you also have like a hard life, you never really have to experience witnessing that firsthand, because if you see it, you're always going to be like, let me do something about this. You know, like you never just have to like be like a powerless bystander, just like seeing this scary ass stuff happening all the time for your entire life.
It's very easy to understand like Han comes from like this broken life and you know the Empire, while it's scary and they fuck people up in line at the airport, he's put in a very tough situation, and the end of this prologue leads into Han making a decision that maybe some people thought was a bit off color for his character, but I think it was also always part of his backstory in the books, which is that Han joins the Imperial Navy as his only way out.
I fucking love that.
I'm gonna be a pilot.
That was perfect.
Best of the galaxy.
Yeah, so
I
like
love that the guy at the booth is just like, he's like taken aback by Han's enthusiasm. He's just like, oh, you really want to join this army? I don't really get that a lot.
So I really like that scene when he signs up for the military.
And Han gets his name.
Yeah, and like I just thought that was a cool reveal that's
fucking
why his name.
Bro, what the fuck? Literally pissed me off. It's fucking dumb.
It's stupid because it pissed you off and it's dumb.
Yeah, exactly. That's my mentality about everything.
Well said.
Thank you. No, there's plenty of people in the Star Wars universe that just have one name. There's no like last name system.
Like what?
Yeah, like Rey, Finn,
Greedo.
Like, I want to sign up for what's your name, Greedo? Oh, you're alone, Greedo Solo.
But it wasn't like a standard practice. It was just like that guy chose that name for him. And I felt like it reminded me of like, you know, people entering Ellis Island or whatever, and people just like chose like last names for people.
I do want to say, while I agree with Jordan, like I don't think every name in Star Wars has to be literal. Like, I think that's another thing.
But it was like a cute reveal.
I did think
if he showed up with Kira, would he be like, oh, your name's Han Dos? Like, there's two people. Like, fuck.
No,
that guy's such an idiot and a jackass.
He just made something up.
Han Alono.
On the spot.
I will say, I read, while I do agree, I think that's a fair criticism, Jordan. I did read that Lawrence Kasdan, the writer, guess what? When someone said, what is the Han Solo story like if you were to make a movie, what would it be about? The first thing he wrote was that scene. That was the genesis of this entire movie.
I'm kind of whatever about the scene. Like, I understand the criticisms because it's kind of
Yeah,
it's kind of like there's like it's a very far away line of how cheesy Star Wars can go, and I think this just barely like is on the edge of that.
So cheesy, bro.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I'm in the same boat as Keats.
It was like a whole block of cheddar in my fucking mouth.
It's not that bad.
Like Lawrence Kasdan was like, eat the fucking cheese. And I remember in the theater, I looked over at Keats and he was looking over at me, and like he just knew I was gonna hate it.
I think I liked it because it's like that's the theme of his character that they're trying to show is that like he's alone. He's alone.
So the name of the movie is Alone.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
essentially the title of the movie.
I always thought it was. I always thought that it was like kind of like a double entendre, kind of. I also the other implication I get from that, and we didn't even talk about it, was like he doesn't want his parents' name. Like whatever happened with his parents, he does not want anything to do with them. It's not just he doesn't have like a tribe, like he doesn't fall in with the gang in Corellia. It's like he's disowning that part of his past. Whatever happened with his parents.
Did his parents die?
The movie doesn't say, and I like that it doesn't say.
I do too, but then I also found that strange where he says that he knows his dad, he talked to his dad, but then he came from no one and nothing. Like he must have he could have.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a story there. I think there's something that they're withholding. Maybe that they hope to perhaps reveal in a later movie or something. I felt like it could go a couple different ways, like Han Solo. I think it could be a very basic story where just like Han Solo's dad was just like an abusive alcoholic who like lost the job at the plant.
I mean, he says I wasn't close with my dad, and then Lando says, "Yeah, me neither, bro."
True.
Well, he doesn't.
But
say,
he's still talking about his dad, like unprompted. So like there'll be, presumably there's a reason that he like was bringing him up.
Because that's what two dudes talk about when they get together. Like, what's your dad like? Let's talk about our dads.
But there's I mean they withhold information. It could be that like his father was somewhat well known, or like there's a reason that he doesn't want to give out his last name or something.
No, I think it was just like
it's very casual.
Just overlooked that. I love that like he goes into the military because it shows that like, he's not a idealistic character. Like
absolutely,
and I think that's like really cool that he's just like, all right, well,
gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
He does like speak like up when he's like in the military, like he's like
He's
he like
fuck
talks
this
about
colonizer
talks about
bullshit.
Imperialism to like an imperial officer. Like, did you know imperialism was bad? Like, read the.
And then the officer is just like, no, and then like, all right,
stupid little
moving
boy.
on. Like,
He's just like, don't say that again, and walks away.
Yeah.
Okay, another cool fucking scene, the Chewbacca thing.
Dude, Red Letter Media called that.
They call it like a lot.
Yeah, they call it like a lot of movie.
The movie is predictable, but let's talk about
it. It is very predictable. That's
and we said the same thing last week with Revenge of the Sith. It feels like a lot of the things that happen in Revenge of the Sith, a lot of them had to happen that way. And I feel that way in Solo. Like,
It doesn't feel that way in hindsight because it's such a classic tale.
That was one of the scenes that like really nailed it when I saw it, was like Han meeting Chewie. I was like, I don't know.
I love that.
I don't know how else this ever could have gone. Like, this is absolutely perfect.
It was perfect.
I love that shit. I love how Chewbacca is like one of the reasons that the people come back for them.
Yeah.
Oh, like they want like a Wookiee enforcer.
I mean, they even talk about that. Han Solo's like, they only like took us because of me, and then Chewbacca's like, which translates to, nah, bro, they took you because of me.
Well, and
they're such a cute team.
They are very cute,
and they
team.
shower together.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
I don't know. I felt like that was more cheesy than the Solo thing. What was the part that I felt really cheesy? You know what was cheesy? When they're like, I'm not going to be able to call you by your full name, Chewbacca. I need a nickname for you.
I was thinking that's like...
It's like, really?
We're going to have to shorten that.
I was like, do we really need that explained to us?
No,
like, as an audience, it's like, oh my God, that's how we find out that Chewbacca is getting a nickname. It's like, okay.
I think
we could have figured that one out.
She sounds like Red Letter Me.
I love how he's like so good at like figuring things out. I think they like made him smart yet believable. Like he wasn't like a genius or anything.
Yeah,
but
whenever
he's,
Han
like,
tries to
able.
get out of a situation, like it's like always one step forward, one step back, which is kind of the whole thing about living like a life where you're like trying to like escape from like your debts and stuff. It's like one step forward to get to the next thing is also like the mistakes of your past like following you. And I think that happens throughout the movie, but in this case he's like trying to get, you know, Tobias and his crew to like get him out of that situation.
He's very observant. He would have made a great detective. Yeah. You notice like the burn holes, the blaster burns.
Yeah, that was good.
And just stuff like that.
He's street smart.
He's very inquisitive.
He's using his brain and he's like pushing that, and then like while he does earn their respect, like at the same time they throw him in jail. So it's always like one step forward, one step back.
Well, I think that makes him like a more likable and fleshed out character than many of the characters we have in Star Wars, who are just like likable because they're like amazing at everything.
Yeah, no, I agree,
mean?
definitely. I think that's always been the
trained
charm
for their whole lives
Right,
to do it.
because they're like trained to be like the biggest badasses.
I think that may even be like the unifying factor for this whole ensemble cast of characters. That's one thing I like about the movie is each of the characters is sort of, they're all like individualistic and are flawed, but they're trying to make the best out of their own situation. And they're all trying to escape a type of lifestyle in one way or another. Tobias Beckett is introduced as a new role model for Han, and what do you know, he's played by everyone's favorite Southern drawl hippie, Woody Harrelson!
Okay, wait, is it just me, or I felt like Woody Harrelson was already cast in Star Wars like 3 other times to play the exact same character? I feel like this exact same fucking character has already existed like a billion
he was
times.
so natural, it was like...
It just felt like, okay, this just seems like I've seen it already.
Definitely, and I felt like I felt like in my mind of course like Woody Harrelson, who is younger than Harrison Ford, is Harrison Ford's mentor. Like in my brain I just see the two of them together and it's like, yeah, of course I got it. Like it's just like it felt like a very natural fit. And you know, it was cool seeing a character that was like a prototype of another character. It's not like pairing Leia with like Padme or Satine or something, like that would be like, oh, what? Like that was that kind of like, oh, like Han with like an older, blonder, more receding hairline Han. Like what's like
his hair is cool, man.
No, it was
pretty
cool.
That
it was cool. They did a lot with that receding hairline, I'll tell you.
I really liked his introduction shot. Just like Han in like the middle of like explosions everywhere, but that one guy who's spinning those guns so cool gets his attention.
The coolest thing about Beckett is that he is
so turned off by Solo.
He is there are like so similar, but like it's like Beckett is like the worst case scenario for Han. Like he's like pushing, like he's old and he's stuck. He's still stuck in the same life. And he's doing what he does for love.
I really love like just their whole group. Like their whole group is like they
were fun.
They're so fun.
I feel like it falls into the similar problem of Rogue One, where I think there's just like too many characters. Like I know,
half of them get eliminated in like the first 10 minutes.
But that's all that they're there for. I would just like, if you're killing people is like that pointless, just save it for like the big gut punches at the end.
I know all those people. I mean, this
in
is
the
like
original trilogy. That's not the case. Even in the prequels, people just don't like drop like flies.
I mean, they drop for. It's just they drop in service for characters. I mean, that's what those characters. They had one movie to set up the
Phantom Menace,
Fallen.
Qui-Gon dies. Attack of the Clones. Shmi dies.
Yeah, I'm saying that was the span of a trilogy, and this is just a single movie. So they had to build up the relationships with these characters that we can't know, so we can know the characters that we do.
But you don't have to do it that way.
Okay, so how would you do it?
I just wouldn't include those characters in.
But then we don't get to have them like vulnerable or anything like that.
How vulnerable do I feel about Beckett that Val died? I didn't give a shit. I didn't care at all.
You don't care at all.
Well, that's you. I feel like he cared a lot about Val.
I mean, his delivery.
The performance was good, but I just didn't care. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about Rio either.
Like 5 minutes.
I'm not saying I cared about Val. I'm saying I'm glad Val died in service for Tobias's writing's sake.
You could have made anything else like interesting about Beckett, in my opinion. I thought it was an interesting character. Without it, I think you could have had more interaction with him.
I think you feel backstabbed because you had to buy the action figure. I mean, I like the action figures. I like Thandie Newton. I think she's a great actress, and I liked Val as like a concept, but she's not a character. They're cowboys together. I like it. I really liked the Tobias Beckett one shot. I'm not sure how you felt about it, but I loved like them as a group, and like the writing for them felt really like snappy. Like it's a one shot comic that has just the three characters in an adventure off on their own. Sure, and I thought it really worked, and there was chemistry there.
Sure, but you read it after seeing Solo, so you already had the attachment to the characters.
To Beckett, but I don't care about Val and Rio.
No, yeah, I know, but you get the reinforcement from it.
Yeah. I mean, just for me, like, I was like, I think there was many points where, like, we could have gotten more from, like, the core characters. It was the same thing you guys were saying with Clone Wars. Lando Calrissian.
Very cool. Very cool.
What else is there to say? He's
perfectly
so cool.
cast.
Perfectly cast.
Even better than the original.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I love Billy D, but I think they just do more with his character.
There's more emotional range here.
You're getting like more sides of Lando, and he's more of a complicated character.
Perfectly acted.
Yes. That first card game, and then the card game that bookends the movie, but that first card game with Lando and Han is like my favorite thing in the movie.
I love that, and I loved seeing all the aliens.
Whoa, hand.
Yes. And his clothes and
all their back and forth, the passive insults.
And that was when I really actually liked the casting more.
For Alden?
Yes. Because I
there's
liked
electric chemistry there.
Yes, I loved like how like what he was saying, and I was like, damn, like this guy's fucking got it. Like, don't count him out.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not as like dumb as he looks, you know.
Ooh, good hand.
And he was also that was a scene where he was like trying to show off for Kira too, if you remember.
And he would have won.
He would have won. Yeah, and he would have won. So
that was legit.
And it's cool because everyone is talking up, and Kira's even kind of teasing him, like everyone's talking up Lando. And the second Han sees Lando's like, this guy's a schmuck. Like, I'm gonna win his ship right now.
The first thing he does is he plants that seed of like, I'm gonna steal your ship.
I know. It was so perfect.
Can I ask you a question, Captain Calrissian?
Anything, Han? It's Han, but that's okay. I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Everything you've heard about me is true. Thanks, love.
Did you win your ship playing cards?
Oh, I've won a lot of things. I once won a subtropical moon in the Ocean Belt.
Wow.
Turned out to be a real money pit.
I'm impressed. I don't think I'd have the nerve to gamble with something I love as much as my ship.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you fly?
Everything is about what is not said between them. Yeah. And it's like all through subtext, and you just absorb it. And it's some really great performances from them. It's also one of the most exciting scenes for me from the new movies. And it's a scene featuring a card game I don't even know the rules for.
The whole time you're like, oh, this is gonna be it. Like, this is how
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
like,
not.
Yeah,
and
this is just a Lando cameo. Like, Lando's just, they want to get the ship. Oh, Han's gonna get the ship immediately. That's the tease for Lando will show up again, you know.
I love how much, like, Lando is in the movie.
I think my favorite bits were Han, Lando, and Kira all together. Like, I thought there was a really, and Beckett too, but, like, there's just, like, there's a lot of chemistry between all those characters.
The whole casting ensemble is just like 10 out of 10.
It was really good. Once
adults are talking, that shit was so fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's so easy. It's so easy for Lando to get on Han's nerves, but it's so weird because you want to see them together so much, but they hate being around each other.
I get the end scene,
but I'm like, no,
I hate you.
And it's like, no, like keep hanging out. Like
Lando is also like a role model for Han.
Yeah, I agree.
He's like another version of like a Beckett character, almost like a more successful Beckett character.
Yeah, he's learning more
charismatic.
And of course, Lando gets like royally fucked over. The ship gets destroyed, and then Han like doubles back to like steal the ship under him
like
again.
After he probably like put a bunch of money in it.
And not to mention his robot girlfriend is in the ship. Like Han just goes up and steals it. Like Han fucks Lando over.
Do you guys like L3?
Are we gonna save this for later? When I watched it this time, I liked her at first viewing, and then watching it this time, I was just kind of like,
She's so annoying.
I think she's on and off for me.
I think she finally
I felt the same as you, Gates, where I was like, the first time I watched it, I was like, I just like the whole theme of, droid rights stuff. Like,
what place does that have in this story, though? Like, it feels like...
It felt like pandering.
It felt like pandering, and she's introduced to die, like, immediately. Like, she dies, 15 minutes after she's introduced. Like, it's
She doesn't die that soon. Talk about a whole fucking wheel of cheese when Lando's like, what do you want? She's like, equal rights.
Oh,
I was like...
God.
And
That's her entire character, just to push that envelope. It would make sense if it was not her entire being, but that's all she is.
I'm all about that stuff, and I think it's a
sure.
cool theme, but I just feel like, what are you trying to do? Like, are you just trying to
It feels almost like a parody.
Enrage people?
Yeah, it really feels like a parody. And it's
these are Tumblr
so
people and we're
stupid.
making fun of them.
It feels like a bunch of tone deaf old white people wrote the script, made the movie, and was like, is this what people like? Is this what feminism is?
I think it was honestly, this is why people hate Disney and shit, because they're like, okay, this is an important demographic that we need to target for Star Wars movies to bring them into the fold, and this is how we're gonna do it. And it's just I don't even want to say it's insulting because I don't want to go that far, but it's just fucking stupid as hell.
When I heard her say that line, when he was like, "Oh, anything else?" and she's like, "Equal rights," I was like, "How long has he been living with his droids?" I thought the same thing. If she says that every time, how many times has he heard that?
Yeah,
shit?
Is this the status quo of their relationship? They seem like they've been partners for years, and then everything there are ways I could justify in the ways that their relationship makes sense, but I'm not even gonna go there.
I think we're getting too reviewy right now.
We are getting too reviewy, and I will say, just as a person that over the course of the prequels and Clone Wars, I'm like, droids are fucking cool as shit. I love the droids. I would love to see a story about the droids, exploring their sentience and their agency over the universe. And I hope we get a story like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I love sci-fi stuff in Star Wars. L3 and droid rights is a sci-fi concept. But I just didn't like this.
And that's something that they have been slowly developing and dropping little things about over time. So that's And
I loved seeing her introduced with the droid fighting pit. I love the droid fighting.
That was cool. That was cool.
And it makes sense just after the Clone Wars, after the battle droids took over half the galaxy,
people
were just
hate for droids.
Yeah, fuck droids. Droid fighting pit. Let's
Yeah, but then it just continued after that, and that was her entire character as
Exactly. It was too much. And then I liked how she was like, you're sentient beings. Oh, wow, they're just going to go out and say, yeah, they are sentient. And I thought that was they took a few risks in the movie.
They did.
To move it forward.
I was just
she didn't really bother me that much. I mean, I thought that a lot of her stuff wasn't the best. It wasn't graceful at all, that's for sure. But it didn't really push any of my.
I like that. It just wasn't graceful.
It just wasn't graceful.
It definitely wasn't.
Nothing graceful about it made me upset or mad or this is a terrible.
Cheesy.
It was cheesy, but I really liked all of her stuff. When they actually got to Kessel, where she's an active participant and freeing the droids, and she's giving Han directions.
Yeah, the Kessel Run is kind of cool.
Gravity.
What I liked about the Kessel Run is that was another little Easter egg thing that's oh, they explain that now. Mm-hmm. But one thing I did like is that it was I did the Kessel Run in this amount.
Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system. Yes, indeed. If it's a fast ship. Fast ship? You've never heard of the Millenium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
He's lying. He's not. He didn't really do it in that. It was just he's rounding down.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I thought that was cute.
Cool.
I think it was also a good thing to kind of base the action around.
Yeah,
that was kind of smart. I mean, why invent something else if you can just
That's true.
It's more cohesive, I guess.
The one major flaw that I can give this movie is that it's kind of just a greatest hits of the iconic Han Solo things that we are expecting. But
it feels like they're checking off a list.
Exactly. Yeah. But the execution of it is so perfect. I gotta introduce two of the coolest parts, and it's a bit of a joint mix just because both of them work synonymously so perfectly. And the first is the soundtrack to this movie, because it's so true to John Williams while being so stylistically driven to go somewhere else. And the biggest deviation from John Williams is for Enfys Nest, who had the coolest theme.
We have to talk about them.
The choir.
The choir. It was so.
I fucking love that scene. I know nothing important happens or whatever.
I almost teared up,
but
just by like execution of like, I can't believe like we're able to get this.
Yeah, the soundtrack, the fucking like shots. Like I love
the shots of how she fights, like her gravity staff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or like
it was such an
it's so
awesome
good. So good.
reveal. You know, they could have just had this like throwaway like, oh, like this is just like a rival bounty hunter stealer person.
Yeah, I
But,
think
like,
there was like an
instead-
active move to
Marauder,
like
whatever.
subvert that expectation of
That's
like
good.
like just like this is not another Boba Fett. Like there's a character here. Because I think that's what fans wanted. I mean, they wanted like, oh, Han's gonna be in it. Is Boba Fett gonna be following him around? And then, but instead, we got a brand new character that you think is like pretty cool and like is also, you know, she rides a motorcycle. She's got a crazy axe staff that's badass as hell, and she jumps onto trains off of her motorcycle. She's definitely cool as hell. But
Boba Fett.
but we also like find out there's a lot more going on with her, and that was great.
We need more from her because she's so cool and like so well cast and shit.
I think we'll get more.
I think we'll get more.
Like design, the whole backstory, and it was also another thing where it's like really a shame that they cut out that scene where they make the Rebel Alliance and Revenge
more
of the
stuff like
Sith
this.
because then it's like every movie would have been showing
the growth.
Like the growth of like how like it's building. People are rebelling. Like there's multiple fronts.
It's
people
an
are
important
fighting
part of Rebels, so you'll get that and you'll get that.
That's so awesome. I'm so excited.
This movie's rocked.
I also loved how with Enfys Nest, like he's like the good guy and no Han Solo. Like, and I mean she's obviously she's awesome. I mean they're amazing, but like he gives all of that fucking super expensive coaxium for a cause and then just keeps a little vial for himself.
Yeah.
And then I think that like it's such a right, but that's like nothing.
It's nothing compared to like
It's
how
nothing.
much. Yeah.
Han Solo ends up doing something super idealistic for them.
But he plays it off like he's like, no, I just did this to. But like that's like Han Solo's totally whole thing. He's like,
I'm just trying to make it out alive.
Yeah,
that
But
happens to
no,
the right thing.
I think he made it way harder and scarier for himself.
oh, absolutely.
Totally
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
On the
he plays it off like, listen, I'm not interested because they offer him the spot, and they're like, listen,
Right.
you did us a huge favor. Like clearly you're skilled.
Like,
you should
right,
come
like
work with
join,
us.
and it's also
He has the opportunity to go. Like they've given him the thing. Like he could buy. Lando says he could buy a ship with that. Like he could go and be a rebel, and that could be like his track. But instead he's like, no, I'm gonna go win the Millennium Falcon and double down on being a criminal instead. Like that's just the
that's
fucking
so interesting
type
because
of
like
guy he is. Well, for me, I just loved it's like the story ends where it begins. As like the pauper, like he's given this key to get out of his situation by getting a vial of coaxium, and he
That's
thinks
true.
and he thinks he's gonna be getting out of this lifestyle by doing this one job, and it just ends with him like all his friends are dead or left him, and he gets this one vial of coaxium to like make his way out. And
except
it's
for
just sort of
Chewie.
Except for Chewie, that's right. He's got one solid friend that's not like backing down.
Thinking about it, he hasn't really lost too much yet. I mean, the closest thing that he's lost is Kira, but he still knows that she's alive and that she's like out there doing what she wants to do.
Well, he also lost Beckett, who was like
He lost
father
Beckett, but he
figure
also
a
knew
short
him for
amount
like
of
4
time.
days.
Well,
I
and
know.
he killed him.
Yeah, and he killed him.
Which I loved.
Yeah.
You know what your problem is? You think everybody's like you.
Not you, kid. You're nothing like me. I hope you're still paying attention because now I'm going to tell you the most important.
I thought that was just like very like realistic for his character.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, it's
like-
definitely like the decision to like. It's weird because it's sort of like it's trying to do both things at once. Because like, I think Beckett is like, you know, he's a guy that's like willing to flip flop on his own ideals to turn in, you know, Han and Chewie and these people that have helped him out like all through their adventures together, and he's willing to like give them up very easily. And like obviously Dryden Voss is gonna like kill them or for double crossing him or something. And Tobias is like still like, yep, that's fine with me as long as I can get out of this life and get my money. But Han like clearly like doesn't want to grow up to be Beckett or be that person. but he still, at the end, becomes and accepts the role of, like, the cowboy and shoots him and, like, goes on and, like, double down into this life.
I don't know if he fully realizes that, like,
He's just in the moment, you're thinking?
I don't know if he realizes that he's on the path to become just like him, or if he thinks just more like,
I'm just gonna do this
like,
better
yeah,
than
like,
you.
or
Like,
like,
you stupid old man, like...
I'm just gonna, like, kind of what Tobias is like, I just give me a little bit more time, and then I'm gonna retire and, like, have a relaxing life. Like, I think Han Solo might kind of be in the same mindset of, like, I'm just gonna, like, try this out. But then, like, we see him, like, 40 years later or something. It's like he's still jumping from, like, debt to debt to debt.
There's a part where Tobias is, like, talking about, like, hey, like, Han, you, me, and Chewie are, like, the makings of a good crew. Like, you shouldn't screw this up. Do you think that he was ever, like, considering to stick with Tobias, or do you think he was always planning to back out after he got the money?
Tobias betrayed him.
I noticed that scene watching it this time, thinking like, oh, like that's planting the seed for the payoff of like later when he says like, I told you, you know, to leave Kira behind.
Well, also it's kind of interesting how at first he's like, Kira, like he immediately thinks that it's her.
But I
who
think
betrayed him.
they're just like I think they're just putting that on. I think because I think the whole thing was planned.
Yeah, the whole thing
was it?
planned.
So
I can't remember the intricacies, but I feel like it was like all like Han was the only one that understood the plan.
The point,
no, she understood the plan, but she also understood her plan, which was, I'm gonna kill Dryden Voss so I can be the new big boss.
Do you think that Han realized that that was going to happen? Because I feel like...
He realized it when he turned around when he was getting to the elevator, and she said, go, I'm right behind you. And you could see that wonderful smile he had the entire movie just fade away, because he knew she's not fucking coming with me.
I don't know. I thought he didn't know until the end.
He didn't seem that broken up about it.
Yeah, I guess he kind of like...
He's learning not to trust anyone.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And that's like good because it helps us see like
character
how he's
growth.
going to get
Yeah.
from A to B.
I interpreted it as like when he's about to leave, like Kiri's like for the last time, they see each other for the last time. And she's like, don't worry, I'll stay here. Like, you go ahead. And I feel like he's like, wow, this was like really easy. Like, it looks like everything's going up from here. It's like, but he was like in the back of his mind, it's like, oh, that was like too easy.
No, yeah, I think I'm on Jordan's boat. I think it's like in that moment he was like coming to an acceptance.
I think he's like a fast learner and maybe he's like realizing like this is what life on the outside is going to be like.
So, the reveal that our old, horny-headed, metal-legged friend... Spider-Man. No! Maul is the leader of Crimson Dawn, this gang empire that presumably was seeded all the way back in Clone Wars.
Maul was trying to build an army of pirates.
So let him. Let him play with the rabble.
They're just petty crooks.
It is of no relevance to the Senate compared to the Separatist threat. Good day, gentlemen.
Something is stirring in the underworld. The crime families have had too much free reign since the Jedi have been distracted by the Clone War. I fear it is a fertile place for Maul to flourish, if he has indeed survived.
If he's banished from the Sith, you know, then it makes sense that this is the type of thing he'd get into.
I mean, definitely, I think
in the Clone Wars, like
that's the only other space where he could like thrive in that way, I guess, and still have enough like infrastructure to avoid the Emperor.
Listen, in today's economy, you have to reinvent yourself constantly.
And you know, in that way, Maul's really a role model for all of us.
He's an entrepreneur.
He's a role model. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, "Who is this guy? Like, why am I supposed to care?" Because like I didn't. Where does Darth Maul really show up? I mean, I guess he shows up in like the Phantom Menace or some shit.
That's it.
But it's not for that long, and it's not, like that just feels like so long ago.
Well, it was.
But yet everyone's so into his character, and
he looks cool like Boba Fett.
That's my understanding of it. But I loved the reflection of him on her face, like the
Oh, I mean
whatever.
the glow?
The glow, because I really got the feeling of like, oh, she's going, like she's getting enticed by the power of the dark side.
Yeah, while I don't think it needed to be as explicit, I mean, I do like
It's effective.
I think it's effective, and I think it's like the ultimate way to say like Kira's really doubling down on this lifestyle. I mean, she's literally making a deal with like the devil. Like, all right,
They're literally
so
planning
my name
like a
is
business meeting though in that meet like thing.
That
That's
is
like
true.
fucking funny. They're like, all right, we have to like discuss this. Like, let me pencil you in. Like,
Yeah,
so we can collaborate.
okay, the Skype isn't gonna do. We're gonna have to fly you out. So, like, this is too important.
Nah, it's just all the fans wanted to hear him say Dathomir.
It's true.
Oh,
I know
true.
what that planet is. I love Dathomir.
It's so red.
Dathomir is so cool.
Yo, it is so cool though.
Yeah.
Oh, he turns on his lightsaber. Wait, why is it red? Oh, it's supposed to be blue because he's in a hologram. Oh, I gotta complain about that. Ah. Fuck off, bro. It's a fucking TV in episode 5. He talks to like one of the admirals on the TV. Why isn't he in a hologram? I'm sorry.
You're definitely awake now.
I'm awake.
So, Low, I had fun watching it again. We talk about Han Solo hardening, and we've all sort of alluded to this throughout this episode. Han Solo, as we know him in the original trilogy, like where the trajectory of this character is going, and I feel like it's fair to talk about this now at the end because unlike some other characters, we're not seeing Han Solo for a long time. And when he walks on stage again, he will be the Han Solo that we know from the original trilogy. Han Solo's defining characteristic, in my opinion, is that Han Solo is a total jerk.
You mean outside of this movie, or?
Outside of I'm saying in the original trilogy throughout.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that he's like that at all in this movie.
And I don't. That's another. I don't think he's like that at all in this movie. And I think I definitely 100% can buy that this Han Solo turns into the Han Solo we know from the original trilogy. And I definitely think all of the things that happen to him in this story are like have the potentiality of like really hardening him in that way. But yeah, he seems like a really sort of like happy-go-lucky character. And then in A New Hope, he's a gunslinger first and foremost. He is not playing. No, I agree. He's not playing the role of the cowboy. He is the cowboy. But I also just think in this, he really does have a heart of gold. And in the original trilogy, like the whole thing is like him being sort of melted down.
It's all about the
circumstances
arc.
shape you.
No, I
like
agree.
getting like bad and then getting good.
I agree. I also think though it's kind of like also a bit of like perhaps an intentional rewrite on the character.
I agree.
Yeah, like
I think it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe we should have done it more this way.
Yeah,
you know?
like tweaking. And even, I mean, George Lucas, the famous like Han shot first, like that's his whole reason for doing that was like, you know what? I don't think Han should be a cold-blooded killer. Like he shouldn't like just shoot Greedo first. Like it should be more even, and that's why that change was made. Because he does, Han Solo became like an icon for kids. And in Return of the Jedi, even, I think, Han is like a lot chiller. And then when you get him in Force Awakens, he's just like your cute grandpa that also is like a war general, but like that point aside,
he's
like
loves
really
his
been
son
really likable in like this movie and in The Force Awakens.
He shot first in this movie too.
He did shoot first in this movie, and I think that was like definitely that was the biggest thing like pushing him in that.
He shot first, but after getting betrayed. I mean, he does like so many good things in this movie. Like even just that little scene of like him being like, "Okay, Chewbacca, like go back to your own kind," which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
gives him the weapon or whatever.
Yeah. And even Kira's like, "Oh, he's the good guy."
You know, I'm not the kid you knew on Corellia anymore, Kira.
No?
No,
Then who are you?
I'm an outlaw. What? I'm not kidding.
Okay, outlaw, you can tell yourself that. But I might be the only person in the whole galaxy who knows what you really are.
Yeah. What's that?
You are the good guy.
Which I think is like a good way for us to view his character.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was definitely... It was like an exciting place for his character to be, honestly. Like, I do like that he's like more likable now and he's more palatable. But for me, it's just like there's like a dissonance there for me because I feel like
I feel like it's kind of like glossing over like that Han was always kind of like a dick, and that was like his like most important thing first and foremost.
But how come people love him so much if he's a dick?
He's sexy.
It's so sad.
People love Darth Vader and he kills kids. I have a tattoo of him.
That's true.
Do I condone his actions? No. Does he look badass? Yes.
It's all appearances.
It's also like context. Like Han Solo is a fantastic supporting character. Like
that's true.
You have Luke the farm boy and you have Princess Leia, you know,
That's
Prince
true.
and the Pauper, and then like in the midst of it is the literal cowboy who's like, I don't give a shit about any of this. Like yeah, like
does he kind of do that in episode 4?
Yeah, yeah.
That is like a really good ensemble of characters. to
Yeah,
have.
definitely. It is kind of disheartening how much fun we had and knowing that like a sequel isn't anytime soon, but hopefully they follow up this story sometime. I would love to be able to, you know, do what we're doing now, not doing this every year, but watch some of Clone Wars and Sith and then go into spend some more quality time with Han before A New Hope. I think that would be good.
Want any more Solo stories, but I do
was just
want
gonna
more
ask.
Star Wars stories. I want
Like
the
anthology
Obi-Wan story.
We'll get it. Obi-Wan I know we'll get, but maybe in...
Curious. There was some information that came out recently as a leak as potential TV shows. 2 of them were spin-offs for Han and Lando, or maybe a joint thing. Would any of you be interested in that as a miniseries?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing is, and this is my opinion, but I liked the action in this movie, but I was most invested when it was just like Han and Lando hanging out and being themselves, because I think those are truly great characters and they're have a fun kinetic energy with each other. So if you just get Han and Lando, don't worry about blowing out the budget with big explosions. Like you've got like an A+ like casting like between the two of them there. There's chemistry. Just make a fun movie where Han and Lando are best buds going on space adventures. Like, come on!
Pulling schemes, card games, races.
Honestly, I would watch 8 episodes of just Han and Lando playing cards. Like, that is my dream Star Wars movie. Sign me up.
You are so boring. But
I mean, I'm not saying literally that, but like something. It doesn't have to be like this big thing, like where you're jumping to 17 different planets and then you lose all your money when no one goes to see the movie. Like, just like you have 2 good actors, 2 great characters, just
Legendary, iconic characters.
Yeah,
but
just
I
make
also
it happen.
feel like, I don't know, like I like this movie, but I've had my fill. And I like Rogue One type of thing where it's like that. I mean, we'll get to that.
Single serving, you mean?
But it's just like that is new and it's like filling in like gaps of the timeline. And I really like that movie.
Next week, it's the beginning of Star Wars Rebels, the 2-part premiere for the show, Spark of Rebellion. I am so excited to talk about Star Wars Rebels. I cannot wait.
What if there's like a Death Star, but it's in the shape of like Boba Fett's helmet? Oh, that's so cool! So it shoots out like a T laser beam.
You know what's better than Boba Fett's helmet? The Mandalorian helmet that has Darth Maul's horns on it.
Oh my god!
That's
Like that Obi-Wan wears? Oh my god, Obi-Wan should wear it. That's so cool.
It's like a metaphor.
That's so cool! God, I fucking love Star Wars. I'm losing my fucking mind.
Shut the fuck up.
Yo! What if they had like a lightsaber and it's like a fucking helicopter? That's so cool, so you can fly around with it and you can fly to like different Death Stars around the world.